Hi, and welcome to Beyond the Breakthrough. I'm Rochelle Roner, your host, and I am so excited to have you here. This channel was created as a space for all of us to celebrate our achievements and successes, gain tips and tools to move beyond the breakthrough, and to be inspired to create change. So let's jump in. Hello, and welcome back to Beyond the Breakthrough. I'm Rochelle Roner, your host, and I am so excited to have you here today. This is a place where we dive deep into incredible journeys of people who have faced challenges head on, broken through obstacles that we all have, and are now thriving on their own terms, the way that they want to be living. Every story that we share here is unfiltered, it's real, and filled with really great not just lessons, but inspiration. And today I am super honored and excited to be joined by Lauren Harshman, who has an amazing story of resilience and transformation to share with us. So get comfortable and let's dive in. Lauren, welcome. Please take a second and introduce yourself to everybody.
Sure. Hey everyone, I'm Lauren Harshman. By day, I am an event planner at Searsville Mansion. I'm also a single mom, and I'm also very active in our Frederick community.
Yes, love you so much. And that's how we connected actually, on LinkedIn, really, through kind of the chamber and things like that. So, and it's been, I guess, just about a year that it's like
Oh,
our anniversary.
oh, happy friendship anniversary.
Happy friendship anniversary. I can't believe it's only been a year. I feel like we know each other so well.
I know, and I,
Yeah.
I think that's just what's so great about connecting with people is that you start to get to know them, and then you feel like you've known them your entire
Yeah.
life, even though they have only met them and you've just talked to them for like 10 minutes.
Yeah. I never realized that I needed you in my life until I found you.
No, same.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
So, all right, so let's dive in. I know you have a great story and message to share and something that's really valuable for people to hear about. And maybe the specific situation's different, but the message behind it is really powerful. So, tell us about a time in your life when you faced kind of a significant obstacle or challenge. What was that for you?
yeah. So, um, I have faced many obstacles and challenges throughout my life. One that really stands out as something that was very uh, that changed me as a person was going through my divorce. Obviously, when you get married, you don't. I mean, that's not what anybody when you go into a marriage. Should be thinking like, oh yeah, we'll just get divorced. No, obviously that's not the goal, and it just turned out that it wasn't working for me. And then I think now my ex-husband would look back on it and say that there were definitely probably things that weren't working for him either. I know that I initiated it because there was just a point where I was just like not feeling it in my heart, and there was also a lot of guilt because we do have two children, and I carried that guilt with me for a long time as a mother, like, splitting up a family. But the good news is that we have been divorced for 6 years now, and I'm on the other side of it. We have, surprisingly, for everything that we went through together, we have a really good co-parenting relationship. We're actually friends, and he has moved on. He has a fiance, and we're all just like this little, blended family. I'm not going to say that it's it's all sunshine and rainbows because it's not easy, especially because now our children are teenagers and we're trying to navigate being co-parents of two teenagers that are really different. So it's work. It's always going to be work, but yeah, I would say that um, going through a divorce was definitely a big challenge and a big obstacle because um, one, I had never done it before and hopefully never will again. And then two, it's just I think a lot of people that do go through a divorce can relate to you go from having a relationship with somebody that you love and care about, and then you go through what could be really nasty. And you just kind of don't think like this person that I loved for so long could be so cruel to me. And I'm not saying that I'm 100% innocent in it either. I'm sure that I hurt him throughout the process as well. But the good news is that we were able to come to an agreement. We had a custody battle that actually happened during COVID. It was terrible to be to be frank with you, and but we were able to settle out of court. And I think that once we did that, we really, instead of the focus on like kind of being mean to one another, we kind of just both were like, all right, I'm done with that. I just kind of want to move on with my life, and I want to just do what's best for the kids, which I think obviously should be the number one goal as a couple that's going through a divorce. If you have children, that your children do need to come first. And definitely after we settled everything that was going on between us, I could definitely see it in our children and how they behaved, and just how they were just both really, they were struggling a lot. But then after both my ex-husband and I decided, hey, we're done fighting with each other. Let's just get it together for the sake of our children. And we did. And you could just really see it through our kids. So
Yeah. So I mean, there's so many things that are involved in that process, right? There's the logistics, there's the kids, there's the relationship between you and him. There's just so many different moving pieces. What was your mindset like during this time, and how did it like affect your ability to move forward?
that is a great question. It was really hard because I was feeling a lot of emotions. It was like I just want this to be over. I want to move on with my life. It was like I'm carrying guilt. What am I doing to my children? And then, just trying to deal with all of the emotions. Um, so it was a struggle. I think that I I cried myself to sleep a lot because I was really just like wrestling with this decision. We had previously, before we had been divorced, we had separated and then we had reconciled. But then during our reconciliation, that's when I kind of had this realization: this really isn't going to work for me in the long run. And so it was very difficult.
Yeah.
And I think that, so to kind of give a little bit more of a background, we had gotten divorced, but it was really hard because we still were, after our divorce, even I was trying to move on, but then we still kind of saw each other a lot. And there wasn't, we didn't, at the time, we didn't have concrete like rules written in writing about our children, with like custody and things. We kind of just, it was very gray. Um, and I think that that's what led to us kind of going into more, basically us having to hire lawyers and going back to court, because we really needed it to be more black and white. And hey, this is when you have the kids, and then this is when you have the kids. Just because like in the beginning it was like it was just very wishy-washy. And then so just trying to navigate that as well was very hard and difficult. And it's sad to say that, like, yeah, we both did have to hire lawyers, and we did have to like do this back and forth thing. And I think in the end, when we both look back on it, I mean, I don't, it's hard to say I don't regret it because of where we're at now. But it's hard.
Yeah.
uh like, no decision that you make in this process is easy. But really, at the end of the day, you really have to think what's going to be best for the kids, and then what's going to be best for me. So when we were kind of at the end of, we had court ordered mediation. It's like our custody uh battle really didn't even go to court. We settled out of court before that even had to happen, which is good for everybody. We had a really great mediator who really helped. And, you know, I kind of went into that meeting thinking like, okay, I'm ready for a fight. And then my ex-husband's lawyer was like, yeah, we just want to keep everything the same pretty much. And I was just like, what? What did we go through all of this for if we're keeping it the same? But with the mediator, we were able to kind of negotiate and settle on some things. Um, but I think in the long run, it really did help, because again, I was just thinking about, you know, I could keep fighting and I could be getting more in debt, having to pay for this lawyer, or I could try to work these things out for the sake of my children, and for their well-being, and then eventually for my well-being, um, which is what it ended up turning into. And so,
Yeah.
yeah,
I love that. Like, and like I said at the beginning, the intro of this, it's about thriving on your own terms and not necessarily what you think based on what other people tell you it should be. It's really deciding for yourself. And if that decision is influenced by other people like your children, it's still your decision. It's still the way that you want things to go. And that's so important. And a lot of us don't do that. We really do rely on outside, external influences and thoughts and the way it's supposed to look or how it looked for someone else. So for you to be able to kind of take that internally and really discover and decide for yourself what it needed to be, like whether it's an easy decision or not, it's really hard to do, and
yeah,
you should be really, really proud of yourself for being able to do that.
yeah. And then to
So,
just add a little bit onto what you're saying, it is really hard to not listen to all of those outside opinions. And
yeah,
um, I have been very blessed to have a really great support system with my parents, my sisters, my close friends, people that who knew that I was going through this, that were able to be there to support me. At the time, I was in a relationship, and my partner, when I had settled out of court, they were very upset with me that I kind of made that decision. I think that he wanted me to keep fighting, and but he doesn't have kids. So he doesn't really understand the, the decisions that I had to make were for my children. So that was also difficult. We ended up not working out, which is fine. But I think that, again, you really just have to focus on, you have to listen to yourself and your gut, and what is going to be what is going to be the best situation for you in the end, like, um and I'm happy with my decision, and with how things turned out. It was and if anybody who's watching can take away anything from this conversation, I just want you to know that when you're in the thick of it, it really sucks. And sometimes you just think like, the days are never going to get better. I'm never going to get out of this. This is going to be what I'm going to be living with day in and day out. But that's not true. Time really does help. And, just because as time goes on, I think that for me, I started to become less emotional about it, and I just started to kind of think about the big picture, and time really just does help, because now we're 6 years past that. We're probably, mm, maybe more like, let's see, 21 or 22. We're probably maybe around like 2.5 years after we both were like, okay, maybe even like 3 years. It feels like it's been a long time. But we're kind of at that point where it's been a while since we both were like, okay, let's just move on for our children. And
yeah.
it's been great ever since.
It sounds like you had that. I mean, you mentioned that one moment when you tried to work it out and you're like, this isn't going to work for me. So thinking back then, what do you think was the most important factor of achieving this breakthrough, of getting to the other side? What was, you mentioned time. Do you think that that was the biggest, or was there anything else that really helped to get you through this to be then where you are now?
Yeah, I think it was just well, one, I wasn't happy with the situation. And to be honest with you, the straw that broke the camel's back was on Mother's Day when I wanted to go to this free Zumba class, and my ex-husband was kind of like, I don't know, he was just kind of being weird about it and not like, why do you want to do that? Or like, it just, to me, it didn't seem like, and that's, I can't even really remember his exact response, but in the moment, I felt like I should be able to do what I want to do, especially on Mother's Day. And I just kind of felt like, you know what? This, like, obviously there was a lot of things leading up to that moment, but it was kind of like in that moment, I started to like, you know, see for the first time. And then even after when we had gotten divorced, I still kind of felt like um it's hard to like go like every day talking to somebody and telling them everything about your day and then go to like not telling them anything. And I think that there was a part of me that felt like I had to tell him everything. And then once I was in a new relationship, my partner was like, why are you telling them that? And I was like, oh, am I not supposed to? Like, no, you don't
Yeah.
need to tell him where you are, you don't need to tell him what you're doing, like you don't owe him anything. And I was like, oh, I guess you're right. I guess I don't. And that was also a breakthrough changing point, because then that's when like my brain started to shift and I started to think, oh, you're right. I'm the only way I'm really connected to this person now is through my children. And I really only have to communicate with him about our children. I don't owe him anything.
Yeah.
So that was the I would say like those 2 points were probably like really big like breakthrough moments for me, where I was just kind of like, one, I realized I'm not happy, and I don't I and after like all of the work and counseling and all the things that we had done previously, I was just like, this is not for me. And then two, kind of realizing, oh, I don't have to keep telling this person everything. That also was very freeing and a big breakthrough moment, because then I just started to be more conscious about what I share with people. I'm a very open person and I don't mind talking and sharing about my experiences. But then I realized that, yeah, I don't need to tell you everything, because you could try to use it against me, or you could, just, I don't know, try to use it against me emotionally, and that sort of thing. So I would say that those two moments were kind of breakthrough moments where I was just like, okay. And then I started to see a change in myself.
Yeah. And I think that's like a really important piece is that a lot of us can recognize certain things, but then being able to understand that you can make a change, make that shift, and figuring, taking the time to stop and think about what they are and what the opportunities could be and go with it, right? A lot of us can say, yeah, well, I've got this, I don't like this, I don't like this. Okay, what are you going to do about it? So that is really a powerful piece to your story, is that you not only were able to identify those things, but you're like, I'm going to do something different about them, right? I'm going to live a different way because this is what's going to make me happier. Um, and a lot of people, I feel like, we get to this point where we're like, oh yeah, these are all the things going wrong. This is how my life is. And sometimes we just stop there. But I think it's really powerful for people to hear how you then took it and made a change with it. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
So okay, going through all of this and this powerful story that you have, how has overcoming this challenge shaped who you are today?
Oh my gosh. Um, it has it has really shaped me into, I want to say, just being a more, I don't know, overall conscious person. It definitely has strengthened me, because I definitely am not going to obviously share all the details that happened between us, because now my ex-husband and I have a really good relationship, and he has a fiance who I really love as well. Like we're actually, it's kind of funny. We're actually very similar, and I don't think that my ex-husband really likes that too much. But the big point of that is like we get along, and she has kids of her own. But I really think that it has helped me become stronger as a person. It has helped me become, I want to say, I want to say less emotional, but I'm also like a Cancer sign and I'm super emotional a lot. But I think having to go through all of that was really hard and very emotional, very draining. And now I can kind of be more like I try to be more like my dad. My dad really tries to be very sensible about every situation, and he's an engineer, so he really tries to think like logistically. And so I think that throughout this, after this whole like breakthrough, I think that now I try to lead more with my logic and less with my emotions, because sometimes when you lead with emotions, you're not thinking clearly. You're all in your head about, oh, I feel this certain way about this, and blah blah blah. But when you like take a deep breath and step back and you just try to think about the whole picture, I mean, it really has helped me even in like my professional life. And trying not to be so emotionally attached to certain things. Obviously, like when you work on a project, or and in my case events, you can become so emotionally invested in it that if like something goes wrong, or if the client doesn't like something, or then it can come back on you and you can feel that emotion attached to it. Whereas now I feel like having gone through that situation was very difficult, but now that I'm on the other side of it, what I gained from that is, okay, I can be more of a, obviously, just thinking more with my logic, and not leading with my emotions. I think that that is probably the biggest thing that this situation has showed me. And obviously, like, again, like I said, I'm a very emotional person, very empathetic. I really try to think about others in the situation more than myself. That's like a whole mom thing too. Being a mom, you're always like thinking about your kids before you're taking care of yourself. But yeah, I would say that the biggest thing from this whole breakthrough, and you know, just really just kind of getting stronger, and just kind of definitely growth too, just kind of growing into I want to say being more of an adult, just kind of being more of like, um okay, just kind of, you know, again, just looking at the situation as a whole and just kind of being more, um I want to just say smarter, maybe cool, calm, and collected about everything. Just not really, um, not leading with emotions all the
Yeah.
time.
No, I definitely hear that resilience that you've built, right? Coming through this and landing in a higher place for yourself, but also that personal growth, right? So we all have these setbacks, we all have obstacles, we all have things that come up. Some are heavier for other people, some seem small, but for someone else it could have been a big thing. But yet you use this opportunity as a personal development piece. Like you really did some internal deep dive and found a part of you or a piece of you that maybe hadn't been there that you're feeling more aligned with. And whether you felt that way back, I don't know, whatever, 10, 15 years ago, or this is new for you because we evolve, it doesn't matter. You really use this obstacle and the opportunity for overcoming it as not just the situation itself, but to really do that personal development and have that personal growth. So that's awesome. That's amazing. What great inspiration, if nothing else. That's awesome. That's
But
awesome.
I don't even think that I don't even think like back when I was like starting to go through this process that I was even thinking about how am I going to feel 6 years later. And now looking back on it, I'm just like, whew, I'm just glad I'm just glad that I am here now, that I was able
Yeah.
to just like get through it. And I think that's just like the biggest thing that, because, sometimes I'll meet different women when I'm out like networking or through social media, and they're going through the similar situations. They're going through a divorce. And the biggest thing I just want to tell them is just hang in there, because it's not always going to be like this. You definitely are going to have some rough times, but then also, you you have to do this for yourself. I A friend of a friend is going through something similar. Her situation's a little bit different than mine, but from what I've heard from her story, she's not really doing as much to move herself forward. And I'm kind of like, you cannot wait for somebody to come in and save you. You have to save yourself. Obviously, you can have support, which I will never deny, because I would not have been able to do any of this without the support from my parents, and my family. But you have to be willing to move yourself forward and get yourself out of this situation. I think that's also part of the breakthrough, is that you can't just be stagnant. You can't just stand still. You have to want to get yourself out of this situation, and you have to put in the work to do that.
Yeah. Inspiring story of, like I said, resilience and just personal growth. I mean, it's huge. So thank you so much for sharing all of that with everybody. Your journey really is a powerful reminder to others that really we all have the obstacles, we all face them, and no matter what, there is a way to rise above them, right? And to thrive and to come out as who you are and who you want to be. So people who are really inspired by your story, is there a way that they can connect with you further? If maybe they
Yes.
just want to connect with you, or they have some questions or want to talk through their situation or something, I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you can find me on Instagram. I'm super active on Instagram. My handle is at Lauren Loves Frederick, and then the love is spelled Luvs. So Lauren Loves Frederick, on Instagram. You can connect with me on LinkedIn, Lauren Harshman, and I'm happy to chat with anybody that might be going through something similar, and just kind of offer that support. Definitely.
And we'll make sure that we add those links to the show notes so people can easily find you as well. So thank
And
you.
you, Rochelle.
So absolutely, absolutely. If for everybody watching, if today's episode really resonated with you, we'd love to hear in the comments, like, what piece of this did you feel? What are you feeling here? So like this episode, give Lauren a little shout out, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notifications so that you can make sure you stay up to date on some more incredible stories just like Lauren's. But thanks so much for joining us today. Remember, your breakthrough is closer than you think. So here's to your next breakthrough. Dream big, take action, and we'll talk soon.